Okay, so today we're going to be talking about careers. Yay! Okay, so careers, for your career exploration assignment, you are going to be taking what's called the self-directed search. Okay. Now what the self-directed search is, it's a personality assessment, and there are a number of these different assessments that are available. Many of them you can take through the Career Center in C102. Those include the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator and the Strong Interest Inventory. The Strong Interest Inventory is similar to the self-directed search that we're going to do in that it gives you the same sort of result, and it's based off of the same research, but it's a little more in-depth. It's a little more detailed than the one we're going to go for today. So if you're interested in taking either of those, you can go on to C102, that's the Career and Transfer Center, and they'll help you set up for one of those. What you're going to do for the SDS, the self-directed search, is you're going to go to the website and you're going to complete the survey. It should take you about 20 to 30 minutes. You want to answer honestly. It's going to be different questions about, do you like this or that? Does this sound interesting to you? Does that sound interesting to you? You answer as honestly as possible, and try to go through it as quickly as possible, because your first instinct is usually the way to get the best result, the result that's the most accurate. Okay. Now this is not an aptitude test. This is an interest test. This isn't a survey that will tell you, you should do this, you should be a whatever it is. What this is for is to give you an idea of the things that you may be interested in. Okay? The way this works is that the fellow who came up with the theory that these tests are based on, his name is John Holland, and he had the idea that all personalities can be broken down into 6 letters. Okay, six themes as to how strong you are in terms of your interests. Okay, so every person can have one of the has all of these different themes or letters in their personality, but some of them are stronger than others. Okay, and every career, similarly, or every job, will have interests that play up to those personalities. Okay, or aspects that play up to those personalities. The letters that or the themes that he had are R for realistic, I for investigative, A for artistic, S for social, E for enterprising, and C for conventional. Okay, and what Mr. Holland believes, or Professor Holland believed, is that every person has some of these stronger personality traits than others, and every job will play up to certain aspects of these personalities better than others. Okay, so for example, if someone is a strongly artistic person, they are probably going to enjoy jobs that promote that kind of artistic expression. So they could become a visual artist, or a writer, or musician, or something along those lines. Now that doesn't say that they have an aptitude for it. Okay, it just says that they have an interest in it. Okay, so this is not one of those things where we say you should do this. It's rather one of these things that says you're interested in this. Have you considered some of these possibilities? Okay. So when you take your SDS, your self-directed search, you're going to get back a report, and I did a sample, and we're going to talk about what the report is going to be. You're going to get it emailed to you, and you're going to forward the email to me. In the assignment section, the directions are on how to exactly to do this is there. Okay, so when you read through this report, On page 2, it's going to give you a listing of the different personality types. So let's go through them one at a time. Okay? Personality type, the first one is R. An R stands for realistic. Okay? Realistic people tend to like to work with things, okay, or objects rather than people. So they tend to be in mechanical kinds of careers. And some of the possibilities it lists here: auto mechanic, aircraft controller, surveyor, electrician, farmer, things that require that you work a lot with materials, with machines, not necessarily so much with people. And it says the R type is conforming, frank, genuine, hard-hearted, honest, humble, materialistic, modest, natural, normal, persistent, practical, shy, and thrifty. Okay. So those are some descriptors. Investigative. Okay, so investigative people tend to like to understand things or events. They like to learn about them. They investigate the world. So a lot of times they'll go into careers in the sciences. Okay, so things like biology, geology, botany, physics, those kinds of careers. They may end up doing a lot of research. Okay, because they want to investigate how things work. And some of the personality types for this are analytical, cautious, complex, critical, curious, independent, intellectual, introverted, methodical, modest, pessimistic, precise, rational, and reserved. Okay. Artistic is the next one. Artistic people tend to be creative, or they like to do things that involve self-expression. Okay, so this would involve being something such as a visual artist, or a actor, director, dancer, musician, writer, some sort of career that involves self-expression, the arts. Okay, and the descriptors on the SDS say an A type is complicated, disorderly, emotional, expressive, idealistic, imaginative, impractical, impulsive, independent, introspective, intuitive, non-conforming, open, and original. Okay. Okay, so those are that's our artistic people. Let's talk about the next one, social, S. The S type tends to be people who like to work, as the type is social, tend to like working with people. Okay, so in careers like teaching, or counseling, or maybe they would go into religious ministry, or something along those lines. Something where you're involved with working with people a lot. Okay, and social people, the descriptors are convincing, cooperative, friendly, generous, helpful, idealistic, kind, patient, responsible, social, sympathetic, tactful, understanding, and warm. Okay. Now E. E is enterprising. Okay, and enterprising people tend to want to work in kinds of business type things where you work to make money and that sort of thing. So sales, executives, travel agents, those kinds of things. Buyers, promoters, that sort of thing. And the enterprising type is described as acquisitive, adventurous, agreeable, ambitious, attention-getting, domineering, energetic, extroverted, impulsive, optimistic, pleasure-seeking, popular, self-confident, and social. Okay. Now let's talk about C. The last letter is conventional. Okay. And conventional people tend to be in careers that are very methodical. Okay. They tend to like clerical and math-based things. Okay. So they're very orderly. So things like being a bookkeeper, an analyst, banker, secretary, those kinds of things. Something that you need to be very methodical, very organized to do. And the descriptors are conforming, conscientious, careful, efficient, inhibited, obedient, orderly, persistent, practical, thrifty, and unimaginative. Well, that's sure nice to say to somebody. Well, anyway, so basically, when you look at these 6 letters, the way that Holland has set them up, he puts them on a hexagon. Okay, and he puts the ones that are most similar next to each other, so that it forms a round. It goes around like a hexagon, because it's not a circle; it's a hexagon. So, when you look at this, you can see that they've placed realistic close to investigative, because people who are realistic and investigative tend to be, that tends to complement each other. Okay, so if realistic people like working with things and investigative people like to do things that find out how the world works, then a realistic person would be perfectly happy working in a science lab, all on their own, just looking at the things that they're looking at, and the investigative person would love that too. So they're kind of similar. So that's why they're next to each other. If you also look at the hexagon, things that are different from each other are actually opposite of each other. So again, realistic and social are kind of at opposite ends. Realistic people like working with things. Social people like working with people. Conventional people like working methodically. Artistic people like working creatively. Investigative people like finding out how the world works, and that's its own reward. Enterprising people are more interested in finding out how to make money off of that. Okay, so it's set up so that you can see what your similarities are and what your differences are. Now, if we go through the report, it will tell you what your code is. Now, you're going to get a 3-letter code, okay? And those 3 letters will say what the strongest aspects of your personality is, because you have all 6 of them in you somewhere. It's just that 3 of them are stronger than the other 3, okay? Maybe not very much stronger, but they are stronger, okay? It will list for you a number of different possible occupations, okay? And my code was SAI, okay, when I took this. So it said under SAI, it said I could be an acquisitions librarian, a librarian, a marriage and family therapist, a speech-language pathologist, a dental assistant, or a dental hygienist. Well, the only one of those that really kind of appeals to me is maybe marriage and family therapist, because I like working with people and helping them and that sort of thing. So some of those are okay, some of them not so much. Again, this is just things that you might be interested in. Well, it also gives you, if the letters were reversed a little bit, what some of the possibilities might be. So if I look, the next one, it has SIA, and the possibilities would be psychologist, genetic counselor, inspector of heating and refrigeration, and nurse. Some of that seems to fit a little bit. I don't think that I would want to be an inspector of heating and refrigeration, but I might be interested in being a psychologist or a counselor of some sort, or a nurse. That might be interesting. Nurse, I might be interested in doing something medically related, but again, the aptitude, I'm not very good in biology. So again, this isn't an aptitude thing, this is an interest thing, okay? And so it gives you the different combinations for your 3 strongest letters, okay? It'll also tell you what kinds of things you might want to study, what kinds of majors you want to pursue. Later on, it'll also give you some suggestions for hobbies or leisure activities. Some of these might be interesting to take a look at. Some of them you probably will have heard of, and some of them are kind of out there. My list includes accordion playing, charades, church school teaching, Esperanto, graphology, nature photography, opera going, stained glass, and wine tasting, and that's just a list of, and some of those are kind of out there. I don't think I've ever wanted to learn Esperanto. Anyway, so what this code will mean, it will ultimately tell you not what you should do with your life. It will give you some suggestions of what you could do, what you might be interested in, and from there, you're going to speak with people. You can visit someone in the Career Center and see 102. You can talk to me about it to kind of hammer out what some of the different possibilities are to go for, what kinds of careers you might be able to pursue or be interested in pursuing, and then we can talk about what steps you would need to take to get those careers. Okay, so take the self-directed search and email me a copy of your results, and have a nice week.